Okay, I am now recording. All right, and we're going to go right to Illustrator first. And what we want to do is to fit all in screen. And the thing about when you are working in Illustrator to get everything, to be sure that everything is set up, you have to be sure to get rid of things that you don't extraneously need. Very important, because you don't want these things to give you problems. So often when I'm in Illustrator, and this is a tip about Illustrator, you can have things, because your layers are so densely, let's go take a look at my layers. I cleaned a lot of things up, but sometimes you have so many layers in Illustrator that you could have a layer that you don't see because it is no color fill and no color stroke. So what I do notoriously when I do print or doing something like I'm going from one program to the next, I don't want to extraneous things somewhere. You do a Control A or Command A, and what that does is it turns on all the points so that you can see if there's a point somewhere in left field that you don't see, you can pick it up. So it's really problematic in print because that one object that is absolutely nothing will create a space that is as small as a pixel, but it will be printed as white, and it's deadly. So that's why Control A shows you all the things that you have. So if you have something extraneously, you have it there. So I'm going to save this file again. And this is just a walkthrough to get your 3 static images. We're going to bring in the multimedia in the second phase, and we'll talk about that when we get there. So I have this saved with the blank. Now I'm going to jump over to Xd, and I'm going to close this out so it launches just the way it will for you. So I'm going to launch Xd. And I have found that when I first launched Xd about a year ago, more than a year, it's changed. It's gotten a lot better. I kind of jumped in one day and I was like, oh, this is not together yet. And then I jumped back 6 months later and it was much better. It's a little confusing because it looks like an app. It doesn't look like a program. It doesn't often feel like Adobe program. It looks like an app. And an app on Adobe on your iPad. So I was sort of baffled because it's such an important program. So you can go new file, but you basically want to open your AI. Because if you've done the layout, now interesting enough, it does not open an InDesign. So I was kind of happy about that because number one, I don't do InDesign. I mean, I know InDesign, but I don't like to do InDesign. I'd rather be an Illustrator. And I don't do print, I don't do magazines. So the only reason why anybody would be in InDesign is because they are working with multiple pages. And so Illustrator can do a page for you, and it can do multiple pages. So you often design in Photoshop, and you often design in Illustrator, and you often design in InDesign. So interestingly enough, Xd, right off the bat, like when I say open, there's no InDesign here. Sketch is InDesign's competitor. So Adobe waited until Sketch got really popular and said, oh, they can do what we can do, therefore we will create Xd. So they created the competitor. So they let you bring in Sketch. Now, what's important to understand at this point, because all of you will be doing Photoshop. Liam's doing Photoshop right now, so that's important for him. And when you are in Photoshop and you're doing things for Xd, you need to make it be an artboard. It's an artboard with a PSD. So the same thing in Illustrator, you make your artboards. In Photoshop, now you can do that. You make artboards, And when you bring in the artboards, it will come in just the way your Illustrator is, which is what I'm going to show you right now. So I'm going to choose my Photoshop file here. And I should be here. Blank. And it comes in as, 3 artboards, which is what it should be doing. And do remember, any layer that you have on here, which will be your designs, when you select it, like I'm going to select these designs, they will be interactive. So if you have a logo and you want the logo to be interactive, all you have to do is select the logo. So right now, what's happening in the industry, as I talk to more and more people, you are, a lot of web designers, app designers are actually creating content within Xd. Now, that's great. It's another tool. You'll jump on it really quickly. But the point to be made is that sometimes Xd doesn't have the tools that you need, and that's why you go to Photoshop. That's why you go to Illustrator, because you need the tools in those programs. And then you can import it. And the way to import it is what we did, which we'll do with the video, is right here, import. Now that import is not accessible. Well, was it? It was accessible. Was not. It's still accessible. Accessible right here in import. So anyway, so the design or Photoshop. So design is laying everything out, and you can do animation in Xd. And so my question is, you think of our animation, it's basically tweens. It only can do tweens, meaning like point A to point B, move this object. It will do that, and it will take keyframes. But anything complicated, like the video that we're going to import, is definitely created in a different file. Okay, so now you go to prototype. Prototype is when you make it become interactive. And when you select this, you get the interactive window. Now again, if you have individual elements, you can select just the individual elements. And the point to be made is that you'll see this on anything that you have clicked, and it becomes your flow chart, as we say. You're connecting it, your navigation to this. And now this, when I click this yellow, it will click to this pink. And then I click the pink and it will connect to the turquoise. Now I could connect to an individual button. It depends. But you're trying to get over to the other side is what you're trying to do. And then on this N one, you want to start back to the beginning. So this would be a button like return or back, the arrow back. This would be giving that ability to do that. So this is a nice way to do slideshows. You literally could do a presentation, and it's webbable because you can share it, which is what we're going to do next. So now to test this, again, just deselect, go to your first frame, and you'll see how everything is connected. So on the first frame, it gives you a little preview button right up here under the arrow. And this pops up in real size, real time. And now you can, just test it before you make it become a link. When everything works and the animations are working, you can go back and forth between the design and so forth. You come up here to share. And what you want to do is create the link. And what it just did is it uploaded to the server with all the code. And now you can copy this right here and copy that link. And you can look at it in the browser as such. And you can also embed it in your WordPress. Now, the thing about embedding a link in WordPress, just remember, you don't want to have this long URL. you say an image or you make a statement and you highlight those words or image, and then you make that, then you embed the link and you say click here. Then it will pop up. Make sure it's a pop-up window, and then you will see it. So now you see it's clickable. So now you can send your clients, your team, everybody what you're working on as a prototype. It is the dream that we have all been waiting for. So it's very effective in that context. So now let's bring in some multimedia. What we learned today was that it does not like animated GIFs. And I'm trying to troubleshoot that, and I'll probably append the answer to this video once I find the solution, because all I got was some outdated YouTube videos on plugins. Because when you come back here to design, right down here is what we call the plugins right here. So I was trying to experiment, trying to find the plugin that will let me import an animated GIF. I didn't even think about the video, because I thought, well, if it can't do an animated GIF, it can't do video. But we soon learned, right? You can import a video, but it has to be under 15 megabytes. So the thing about XD, and this has been around since day one, plugins. So people can do special things because of plugins. You can do plugins with Photoshop, you can do plugins with Illustrator, After Effects, all of the above. I really don't use the plugins simply because I teach the really fundamentals, and that alone is a lot to learn. But all these plugins have really good video tutorials. So if you want something that the software doesn't give you, go search for a plugin and you will get it. So let's go back to design, and let's bring in a video. And let's see where that is. The big question right now is if I can remember where it was. I believe it was in my promotional. And I believe it was under my videos. And I believe it was Scott. Yeah, here it is. Yeah. Okay. And so Lester, as you can see, we did get that pop-up window, right? And I'm going to say loop playback. Yes, please play that. And here you can see where you can cut, trim, which is, nice to have, but I would have probably edited that in Premiere just the way I wanted it. But anyway, here we have it, and it lets you scale it without the shift key, which is nice. And now let's see if this works. I'm on this page. Let me get to prototype. Let me click this. And what we found is that the video, so now I can go back to our design class and say, make sure you render a video in addition to the animated GIF, so that you can make it become interactive, have multimedia in XD, so that without any plugins, XD will accept the video, which is as sweet as possible, but it has to be under 15 points. So it will play it. I'm in the live playback now, which is great. And that's exactly what we wanted to do on that. And so if I click the yellow, it goes to what I have, and it will say this here. So if in design wise, knowing what we have here, and if I wanted to create a prototype so that if they click the video, it goes to the next one, I would have to do that. Let's see if this works. I'm going to select that. It does connect to there. Interesting enough, there's clicks there. Yeah, it does click to this. So let's do that again. It doesn't really feel like it's clicking to it. And now the video, oh, there it is. Okay, good. So I don't know why. I'm gonna, interesting enough, tap. You see where I'm a little, this is getting a little weird here. I don't know why this is here. Ah, there we go. I just deleted it. So now you see, this is a video, and this is what it would look like if you had other pictorial elements here. So if I did this, let's go to here. Now let's see if I can do that. Click. Ah, you see, it doesn't let it play, right? Let's do that again. Let's play it, and let's just see if it eventually plays. So what we just learned here, as you can see, if you want your video to play, don't make it clickable. So now you can delete it. And now let's go back again. So you see, I just selected it and deleted it. Let's do this again. Still has that clickability. It's a little sticky, as you saw, right? Let's go back. Yeah, you see how we lost it, right? That's what we call sticky software. So I'm just going to delete all these things. And make it all delete. Yeah, see, all I'm doing is deleting. Whoop, I don't want to delete that. You have to be careful on the deletion. There we go. So I'm in prototype. I don't want that to click. I don't want that to click. There, it's all clean now. I took and removed all the clickability, right? Making sure of that. Now let's bring back, so Lester, I think it's a little buggy, but now we're learning what not to do, right? Mm-hmm. So what's important to remember is, look at how that has that in there again. And let's go back to design. See, I have to go back to design to scale it. Let's bring it back in, and let's go beyond the lines. And let's just see it in live. It's not clickable. Interesting, right? Yeah. Let's go back. I'm going to delete this again. Let's just bring it back in again. Comes in clean. Good. Prototype. Yeah. Okay. All right. You see, it's a little sticky. You have to be careful. So what we're learning here, and as I'm learning with you, is that, now we know that Xd does not accept animated GIFs. It does accept video. So when you're in Photoshop doing your animated GIF, you want to export it as a video, and then you can bring it into Xd to be able to happen. And then you can make it clickable. But as we just discovered, that often when you take something on and off, as far as clickability is concerned, so here we are in prototype. I could again make the yellow be connected to here, attach that, attach back to this. And then when I do a playthrough, when I click that, it takes me to all three. And when I click that, it plays it. So that's what we do often, is when things get corrupted. This is what we call when the layer or the image is corrupted. You just basically delete it and re-import it. Okay, I'm going to stop the video now.